American voters are not even paying attention yet to midterms. They're not going to be paying attention until school resumes in August. That's when they're going to start paying attention. So we're going to start seeing these numbers climb even more. That's what's going to happen. So that's good for midterms, but it's also really good for 2028. And that's what I'm looking at is 2028. So I wanted to bring this because I wanted to help maybe put some unease to rest for some people, but also to say this does not mean we sit on our laurels. It does not mean we get lazy and we don't rally the vote and we don't get to the polls and we don't talk to our neighbors and our family and our friends, because we do. We absolutely have to get everyone to the polls. But this should also help put a little bit of minds at ease about the U.S. and Israel relationship.
How do you explain the support for JD Vance and Israel at the same time, given that JD Vance seems to be critical of Israel?
Right. So how I explain that is that, one, he is going to have, so there are some people in the right who may or may not be registered Republicans who are not supportive of Israel, correct? We know this. This is not a secret. We know this. They are also not accepted by the mainstream conservative voter in America. They are not accepted. They literally denounce them. So they are a minority within the right. Also, how I explain it is, like I said, we are in a portion of the election cycle that the majority of Americans are not paying attention to. The majority of Americans are not paying attention right now, and they will not be until August. That's when they start paying attention. So they're looking at JD Vance going, oh yeah, okay, that's great. He's doing a good job for Trump. That's mainly what they're thinking. Okay, he's doing a good job for Trump. They're not paying attention to the nuance. What they're seeing is, what Fox News shows, and they might listen to one or two other outlets. And, that's about it. They're busy living their lives. They're busy with the kids on summer break, and that's what they're doing.
That was great information, Texas. Thank you so much. Thank you for this great information. It's a very valuable addition to our group calls, by the way, now that you're here.
This is my jam.
Fantastic. Okay. I saw some twos,
Let's
right?
go to,
yeah.
Yes, first, Sherry.
I just want to respond to what Texas was just sharing. I think Armin asked a question about how can you be pro-Israel and pro-Vance. And I think the only reason it really boils down to that is because in the past, Rubio has said, if Vance runs, I won't run against him. I think most people would absolutely go for Rubio instead of Vance if we have that choice. But Rubio has been clear about the fact he doesn't really want to challenge Vance. He's being Rubio. He as hard and tough as he is, he'll take the fight outside of the U.S., but he's not going to bring it within our own personal politics inside the U.S. He doesn't want to help us. He's not interested in dividing America just to help his career. I hope I said that well.
Thank you, Sherry.
So can I respond? Whoops.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I was going to say, can I respond to Sherry on that? So Sherry, I agree with you that that Rubio, obviously Rubio has said that, correct? So we all know that. Two, I don't think that that explains the Republican voters' approval of JD Vance. So I don't know that I would say that explains that. But I will say that one of the things that I do know is that Trump watches what is being said on social media. He watches on X, he watches on True Social, and he pays attention to polls, people. So when he sees that Americans are talking about a certain topic, let's say, for example, approval of Rubio for 2028, he's going to pay attention to that. He did it here in Texas regarding John Cornyn and Ken Paxton. He paid attention to what Texans were saying. And when it became very clear to him that we were voting Cornyn out no matter what, and we were voting Paxton in, that's when he backed Paxton. So keep talking about it. If Rubio is your favored candidate, you have to talk about it because Trump is paying attention.
Okay, so let's go to Monkey next. Monkey?
Yes, this supports what I was saying that we're talking midterms, right? People like to mix up the presidential race with the midterms. You may not like Vance for presidency, but you have to understand that this does allow the isolationist right and the unipolar right to have both sides represented within the GOP ticket, right? This is also it is also very true when Texas says we are very far away from the point at which people start paying attention. Like you guys see some little things now, okay, that's fine. But this poll is a poll for people that are paying attention. The people that are really into politics understand the difference. That's why they are so supporting of Israel, because they understand the relationship and the global geopolitics of it. This doesn't take away from things changing drastically in every single election this far out. Like we don't know, we really don't know how much there will be of a groundswell, and we also don't know about what's going on with the Democrats. We have to be very cognizant of the fact that all these immigrants that don't have to show an ID to vote, illegal immigrants I'm talking about, can be disenfranchising the local people of color into which those neighborhoods have been moved. Like you're pushing illegal immigrants into uh, traditionally Black and Latino communities that turn to Trump. You're disenfranchising Trump voters of colors, right? Because you want to get the illegal immigrants in. This has been proven. I wrote a whole article about it. We looked at the numbers. They're saying that the Democrats have admitted this. So you have to be not only very cognizant that you do have to make this too big to rig, right? You also have to be very much on the ball about this SAVE Act. This is crucial. This needs to get passed and passed soon because you need to have some voter ID when this happens. Another point on Vance. Rubio went against Trump. Like they had a debate. Like if this notion that Vance that Rubio is not going to go against Vance in the future, that could absolutely change. He said it one time, he said it in December 16, like right after the elections when they have to show unity, when he just got hired. Like, he's not going to start talking shit December 16 right after the election. That's not going to happen. We just had an election in November. I don't think the cabinet's even in yet. He's not going to be talking shit about Vance. He's going to, oh, yeah, sure. I'll support him. Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, if he's the candidate, I'm down. Of course he's going to say that. That doesn't mean that come 2028. And he says, look, I have the experience. I'd rather handle these things myself. I would wish that if I won the nomination, I had Vance's support. Like, things could change drastically. Personally, it is a very different situation when you have had to manage war, when you have had to manage the situation in Cuba, Venezuela, Iran, in NATO. Like, Rubio is having to deal directly with a lot of nations, with a lot of institutions. He has to deal with this directly. Is he going to have the same stance that he had after the election just happened on December 16th? No. I think he's a look, with my experience, I'd rather do it myself. I support Vance's right to be out here, competing for the nomination, but I'm going to have, my attempt at being the nominee, and to the victor go the well, not the spoils, to the victor go the merit. you know I think it will be Rubio. I seriously think it will be Rubio. I think he might have Vance as a vice president. I wouldn't make a secretary of state, but he may have a place, and as long as he has a place, that'll be fine. Let him run it back to back. Let him be vice president twice. I don't care, but I would not pick him as a president. Like, nobody should, like, I don't think anyone here wants him as a president. And what I want is Marco Rubio. That's what I want. Anyway, and I think it's very possible. Anyway, I'll leave with that.
Thank you, Monkey. Siddhartha is next.
I wanted to offer some of my thoughts on why a pro-Israel voter might also regard Vance favorably. I remember, like, right after the 2024 election, there were some I'd say, like, anti-Zionist journalists who were attempting to recast the 2024 election as the result of a protest vote, that Democrats abandoned Harris because she was not because the Biden administration was not sufficiently tough with Israel. So I wanted to kind of look into this a little bit myself, and I went to the exit polls, and what I discovered is that across the board, voters who ranked foreign policy highly in their decision making was 4%. So this is an extremely small number. And that's foreign policy. It's not just Israel, right? So it's just all of foreign policy. So for many voters, like, they are not necessarily paying attention as deeply to these issues as we are. So they're generally pro-Israel, and they're Republican voters. So they don't necessarily realize the incongruity, of these positions. I would also add, I was looking at specifically at Michigan, which was sort of regarded as the most Gaza-pilled state. And even if you add up Harris with the two most sort of like stridently anti-Zionist candidates, which were I think Jill Stein and Cornel West, even if you add them together, it was still less than what Trump got. So I think that there's a lot of the upcoming elections are a sort of test. I do think that it does seem like support for Israel is eroding, and it's largely because of how much noise there is coming out of the anti-Zionist left and the right. I think that a lot of that is astroturfed, and there's a lot of sort of promotion from foreign bots in Pakistan and so on. But I do think that anyway, they are having some impact, but I do think that the degree of salience of this particular issue is often way overstated. So anyway, those are my thoughts on that topic.
All right, thank you. I don't think we have any other tools, so let's check if we have super chats.
Yes, we have two super chats from Redneck Jeep saying a Vance presidency would be a serious concern for the United States going into the next decade. And then Redneck Jeep, another super chat. Thank you so much, Redneck Jeep, saying Vance would result in US being considered soft on world stage. Do you guys, anybody wants to respond? Okay, I think Jason agrees with that. Dajjal wants to respond to that. But before Dajjal responds to that, I also want to read something that Shadow mentioned. Again, reminder that Shadow is speaking from inside Iran. Shadow is saying, I think all Iranian freedom fighters go for Rubio. It is true that most Iranians love, Rubio. I do. That is actually most Iranians who are for toppling of the regime go for Rubio. So I see a couple of twos on the super chat. So let's respond to those.
Okay, so first is Deja.
Yeah, the thing about Vance that you have to understand is that he's somebody who comes from a very particular mentality regarding Israel. He's one of these people who thinks that Israel is the reason why we have problems with the Muslim world, and that if you just throw them under the bus, uh, it'll want them. It'll make them to want to leave us alone. Basically, he wants to offer them up as a sacrifice to the Ummah, and there's a lot of people who think this. They see Israel as the source of all the problems in the Middle East. If it wasn't for Israel, we wouldn't be doing any of this. We wouldn't be going through these problems. And that they're more trouble than they're worth. And if we just offer them up as a sacrifice to the Ummah, then everything will go away. Essentially, it's an extremely naive point of view, and it ain't going to work. It's a pipe dream. They're not going to leave us alone. In fact, if we did that, it would just embolden the Islamic world even more. It would give them a very substantial psychological boost, and they would be very energized by it, and it would be to our detriment. It's stupid. It's retarded. He's naive. He thinks you can reason with jihadists. You can't.
You're going. So,
Thank you,
Well,
Digital.
wait, let's Jose.
I can understand Rubio quite easily. He's a team player. He's been a team player since the very beginning of this administration. So of course he's not going to say that he's too busy to worry about running against JD Vance. Now I will tell you this: if Trump says run and endorses him, he'll run. Okay. So for those of you who are thinking, oh shit, Vance, we'll see who Trump picks to be his heir apparent, the word is. And I also want to give you another name that might start showing up shortly. Texas knows him quite well. Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, because he sounds a lot like Trump, except he's a lot younger.
Thank you. And now let's go to Monkey.
Now, when it comes to JD Vance, if you're going to talk about JD Vance, you got to wait till he's done. Like what we think about JD Vance now may completely change. He may be super pro Israel. He may change completely. The war may change completely. We are talking about this like this is the end and it's the beginning. This started in February. This is very short time in the scopes of wars. So we have no idea how opposite of what he is now Vance could become, especially when he doesn't have the weight of the midterms on him. This is a steel man because in my like, if I'm going to be completely honest, I don't like him. I don't want him to be president. I've said this many times. I am against him. But realistically, I have to understand that if I'm saying it's delusional to think that we know the result of the midterm now, it's even more delusional to think that we know what our stance on Vance is going to be by the time it's time for a president, what our stance on many things are going to be, where the state of this whole thing with Iran is going to be, where the state of our relationship with Israel is going to be from here all the way out to the election. So if you ask me right now, based on what I know, no, I don't like Vance. Could that change completely? Could he become super pro-Israel once the weight of the midterms is off the party and they could like basically show their true colors? Yeah, that could happen, right? And I would actually fear that. I would actually fear that Vance becomes super pro-Israel after the midterms because it would be something that hurts Rubio. Because if Vance is pro-Israel and Rubio is pro-Israel, then what's the difference? You understand what I'm saying? Like, yeah, he could become super pro-Israel once the midterms is over, and then that would make things tougher for Rubio. That's what I would worry about. I'm not worried that Vance is too anti-Israel, because that could change. I'm worried that he becomes super pro-Israel, and then that makes it harder to get Rubio, because then what's the difference?
Let me go through the other twos quickly because I promised Shadow he's next. Texas and Siddhartha, like 30 seconds each, please. Go ahead.
Okay, so Monkey, I'm gonna push back a little bit on you, tiny bit on that with Vance in regards to Vance. So let's just say he does become super pro-Israel. That's fine and great, but he still will not have had enough foreign policy experience to make Americans comfortable. He just won't.
Siddhartha?
Yeah, just to comment on what Monkey said. I mean, I think with regards to Vance, he's a very young man, and he's not been in politics for very long. And in the time that he's been in politics, he's had some radical transformation on his ideology. So I do think he is a kind of a wild card. Like, we actually don't really know who he is, and he is, at least as far as I'm concerned, I'm still sort of evaluating his posturing. So yeah, I don't trust him. I mean, because for that very reason, I also don't trust him. But I would not be surprised if Vance from 2 years from now, 4 years from now looks a lot different.
Let's hope. Okay, so Shadow is next. Shadow, are you giving us an update from Iran? What's your topic?
Is this a new topic or a response?
New topic.
Oh, well, then ask me for super chats for super doing new topic.
We were doing super chats. We were replying to the super chats.
Oh, okay, sorry. Because this ended up being its own segment. I just so let me just say, Texas, there are so many people on the YouTube chat that were agreeing with every point you were making. You're already a big hit. Maybe you should have your own YouTube channel as well. Talk to me about that if you're interested. Okay, so let's go to Shadow. What's the update?
Okay, I hope my voice is okay. So I'm so nervous about my connection always.
My name is Armin Navabi. I'm an Iranian political analyst with decades of experience fighting the Islamic regime inside and outside of Iran. Make sure you follow me for more, and also make sure you join our discussion group. I'm there almost every single day. Come talk to me there and the rest of the people there in our group calls. It's a great place to meet and talk to people who like talking about politics. The link is in the description and or in the bio. You could also get there by scanning the QR code on the screen. See you there.